Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Outside the Lines, the podcast where we talk to our favorite artists and get to know a little bit more about them. This time, we're talking about putting yourself out there on the internet and also in like all the offline places as well. And we have Liz Chatterton, the lovely YouTuber and also like a longtime friend of Viviva. Liz, how have you been? Introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, hello, and thank you ever so much for inviting me here. Yeah, it's a beautiful day here in England, and the sky is blue, so I am very happy. Yes, so I'm a watercolorist. I'm based in Berkshire, so that's quite near London. If you don't know the UK, my passion is watercolors and water-based media, and I love to paint animals and natural subjects really to try and help people see them with fresh eyes. So, on the whole, I will paint cats rather than tigers or cows rather than wildebeest because I think we sort of take the everyday for granted, and I want people to see the ordinary, see the extraordinary in the ordinary, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's what I'm all about.
You see the beauty in the everyday life.
Absolutely, yes.
Which is needed. We all romanticize a lot of things, but not our everyday simple moments in life.
Exactly. I think what I want people to do, the moment I don't know, as a child, you first saw, I don't know, a particular animal in a zoo or something, and you had that moment of, wow. I want people to feel that moment again, but with the everyday. So, just an ordinary cat can be as beautiful as a lion, is my view.
Cats are gorgeous. I have not seen okay. Scrawny is not the right word, but I've not seen a cat that didn't have the potential to be beautiful. At least, like sometimes
You
they
haven't
are,
met my cat.
but
My cat isn't beautiful, but yeah, there you go. No, but that's yeah, that's what I'm all about. So, and I've been a full time artist for gosh 8 9 years now. Yeah, I think so. So, and I teach and I paint and I sell my art and I write and I do all the stuff.
okay. So coming back to the theme of the podcast, we thought of doing a show on specifically about like how are the different ways that you can put your art out there for people to look at because of the fact that you do it in so many different ways, and it's a little bit daunting sometimes, at least like from a very beginner just learning art kind of a perspective. Is that's me basically started painting 1 or 1.5 years before I joined Viviva, which has been like 1 year now, so very new to art. And looking at the people who put their work out there, it's fascinating because the more I do it, I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. But those first few pieces of art that I created, and I had to press the upload button on Viviva's YouTube channel or the Instagram page, it was so daunting to just press it because I can see the flaws in the artwork, and I can see the things that I should be doing better and I could be doing better. And it's an endless stream of thoughts when you have to like press that button and you have to put yourself out there. So how did you do it? How did you first step into this online space? How did you first put your art out there, and who encouraged you to do it?
Okay, what I was just going to say is that feeling that you've got of, oh, this is scary is so normal because I think you put your heart and soul into what you do. And it's like there's a little bit of you in every painting. So there's that feeling that, if someone's rude about your painting or they reject your painting, they're rejecting you. And we all feel that. And it does get easier with experience because with experience, you realize that on the whole, people are lovely and people aren't going to go, that's horrible. On the whole, you may get that. That's unlucky. So I think the more you do it, the more your confidence does increase. I mean, the first time I put work into an exhibition, I was terrified, absolutely terrified. So this would have been, gosh, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago or whatever. Um, and I was just learning watercolor, and I was going to a class, just an evening class, and Ursula, I give her a shout out, organised an exhibition for all her students, and we put work up in a village hall. And people came to see it. I was so scared. Gosh, it was horrible. And I sold a piece, and oh my lord,
Wow.
I sold something, and I was beside myself with happiness. My poor family had to sort of pull me off the ceiling because I was just so like, oh my goodness. Because someone who wasn't my family, who wasn't a friend, wanted to buy something of mine.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's an amazing feeling. It's a huge compliment because they actually want to live with your work, and they
Yeah.
say it's not your parents or friends who have to say nice things about you. This was a real
Mm.
person. So I still remember how excited I was, but I also remember how scary it was. And in some ways I think the internet, social media, makes that easier now because you can put it up there and you're not there in person. You don't have to listen to the comments.
Yeah.
So that can be a really nice way of building your confidence. And there are such supportive groups for whatever sort of art you do, whether it's watercolor, pen and wash, acrylics, whatever, really supportive groups. And also there are private groups, there are small private groups. So you can put stuff out there and you don't have to be worried that 3 million people are going to see it. Maybe
Yeah.
you want 3 million people to see it, but you can start very gently in a small group, a really supportive group. And as I say, on the whole, people are lovely and they are supportive. And on the whole, unless you ask for a critique, most people will not pick holes. And if
Yeah.
they do say something, if you ask for it and they do say it, people will say it very constructively because they're artists and they understand.
Yeah.
So I think that's just such a gentle way to start. And then, as you've said, is by doing that a little more often, you realise that the world is not going to
The nerve
crash.
that you get the first time, you don't have it afterwards, or it slowly reduces over the course of time. Now I'm not as self-conscious. I think my voice, if I have to do a YouTube video and if I'm doing a voiceover, I'm still a little conscious about the way that I sound sometimes, but on the whole, like, it does get better. And regarding like what you said about putting yourself for a small amount of people, that resonates with me so much because one of the very first things that I did when I started, this was pre Viviva. So when I was like baby watercolorist, and I used to create smaller, like, I think you can see some of the frames in the background, right?
I
They
can,
are
yeah.
full size. So even smaller than the frames in my background. So lesser than an A4 size. I did a little bit of a landscape and I would give it away to my friends and as their birthday gift. So it was, I was so broke that all I could do was like paint something that I know that they would enjoy. Like my friend has basically a zoo at home. She has like 5 dogs and 3 cats, and I think she's added 2 more cats right now. So she has a zoo at home. I painted her very first pet for her, and yeah, I gave it off to her. It was like the like one of the first things that I just did as a artist. I felt like so accomplished doing that because pet portraits are also very difficult getting their features right. And I got that and I sent it, gave it to her. I could see all of the flaws, so I didn't feel too satisfied with it. I was hoping like she would like it, but I wasn't sure if she would like it because for like various factors, it was not really the best piece of art. Clearly, like one less than a year into learning the medium, and she loved it. She could not see any of the flaws that I was able to see. I had to point it out. Like she was actually genuinely worried about like why are you so nervous, and then I had to like, hey, this was a mistake. And then I was circling it. And then I realized that I should not be doing that. I should not be pointing out my mistakes to other people.
No. I think we are we are our own harshest critics because we always want to improve. We know what was in our head and how that's different from what's on the paper. We point out the flaws. And I think the more you do it, the more you realize that actually sometimes, particularly with watercolor, what you think of as a mistake actually becomes some of the charm of it.
Yeah.
You know, when you suddenly get a water bloom or a cauliflower in the wrong place, actually those marks are so typical of watercolor that they become part of the charm of it. So it
Yeah.
might be a mistake, but it becomes that happy accident and all those sorts of things. So I mean, we all do it, and you just need to learn when someone says, "Oh, that's lovely," is just to smile and say, "Oh,
Make
thank
it.
you,"
Yes.
not to
To
say,
take
"No,
the
it's not."
compliment. Yes, to take the compliment is something that I had to learn very, very consciously. It's not something that this came naturally. You have to like force yourself to stop, be the critic.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think so that is experience, but you can, there are most of us paint because, well, we paint because we love painting. Some people paint because they have a mission. And I do feel that I paint with a mission. Yes, I paint animals, but it's because I want to help people get that wow moment. So if you have a mission, you're not going to kind of achieve it if you don't share. So I think just to share your art and to share the joy that you get from your painting is great because we all need a little bit more joy in the world. So I would urge people to share. It seems a great shame to have, a portfolio, a sketchbook, a painting book full of paintings that no one but and to share that is just, I don't know, increases the sum of happiness in the world, I hope.
Okay. That kind of brings me to my next question, which is about like the different ways in which that you're sharing your art. Online, I have seen that the art community is generally very nice and welcoming, especially for newer artists. I don't think that nobody's ever seen a newbie artist and been like, that is horrible. You should never be painting again. But they like, you could try this. Why don't you try improving your art in these ways? That's the only kind of real critique. But there are always going to be, especially like the bigger your platform gets, the bigger your audience gets, the more trolls and nasty comments that you're going to be getting. The more of the first type of comments where you're, hey, your art sucks, you suck. Those kinds of comments are going to come up once in a while, not as frequently as other niches online, but it is going to be there. But how does that compare to an offline audience? Like if you're showing your work in a gallery, or you were saying that something about studio trails where you're opening up your studio for people. How does an offline audience compare to an online audience?
I mean, the joy of an offline audience is that you have a conversation. We are having a conversation here, of course, but in group in social media, you don't have a deeper conversation. So the lovely thing about real world is of course that you see people's reactions, you can ask what they like about it or just talk about them. And the more you understand people and how they react to your art, the more you can take that on board or not. But people, of course, in person are again lovely. Then, I mean, potentially they can leave your studio and go, hated that, but they're not going to say it to your face ever. So, people who like art generally are very positive and interested, and having that conversation is great, which is why I do an open studio because it tends to be far fewer people but you have deeper conversations. I also put work into, I belong to a couple of local art guilds and they have exhibitions. I must do an entry for one, which is just coming up. Thank you for the reminder. But that's lovely. So that tends to be a bigger footfall, but you're not there to see people's reactions. I do remember being at one of my very early exhibitions. It was like a charity exhibition, and I put some work in, and I was there with my children who were a lot younger at the time. So this would have been, I don't know, well, probably 12 years ago. My son would have been about 10 or something. We standing
Right.
there, and I was like, oh, look, that's mine. Someone said, because it was a sort of, I don't know, purple cow or something, and they were just going, "Oh, that's purple," and they were like this, and I thought, I have to say something because they could have carried on and said something negative. I don't know. But I didn't want to hear that. And I just smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, that's my painting." And they shut up. I just thought it would be embarrassing for everybody because if they'd stood there and said, "Oh, that's horrible," my son, because he was only 10, would have said,
Yeah.
"That's my mummy's painting." And it would have all been very embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, in general, you don't uh, get that much feedback if you're in an exhibition because you're not there all the time. Whereas, say, art trails and things like that, where you might, over a weekend, a whole load of artists will open up different venues and people come round. That is a lovely way of taking part and getting your work out there for very little cost.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's the other thing to think about is that online is free. It's your time, of course, but once you start to get into things like open studios, art trails, exhibitions, there may be a cost involved.
Right.
Um, and so you just have to balance that up. But and of course, when you start to get into galleries, they take a commission, and galleries are, commission is usually 50%, which is,
Yeah.
if you're trying to sell work, and that's kind of a lot. So, there are different ways, and you've got to look for something that works for you because not everyone wants to sell their work, but you might want to share your work. So certainly, um,
You
there are
don't have
different
to
ways.
part ways with your art, but you can always like put it out there online.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, what I did, so say I was lucky that the art group I was going to as a student did do an exhibition. And then I joined a local art society, an art guild, and they did an exhibition. So that was ways of getting into things. Then locally, it was really good. There were some empty shops. We did a pop-up, or
Okay.
some artists were doing a pop-up shop,
Hmm.
pop-up gallery, and I took part in that, and that was brilliant for two things. One was you actually saw how maybe a shop and a gallery started to work, but also I met lots of other local artists, amateur artists just like me, and started to make friends in the arty world locally, and then that leads to other opportunities. So that was really lovely. And then I approached like a local cafe and put work on the walls. Again, you just have to look for easy and local opportunities. It's hard because you ask and they may say no. You may say,
Yeah.
this is what I do, and they may think, "Mm, no, I don't want that." But equally well, they may say yes.
There is always that 50% chance of
Well,
it working out.
no one's going to say yes if you don't ask them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's and in the end, I mean, one of the joys of being a lot older is that actually you don't care quite so much. Someone says no, they aren't actually rejecting you. They aren't saying no and I hate you. It's just no, it's not right for us here now.
For whatever reasons, for it could be something completely unrelated to the quality of your art.
Exactly. It could well be that they've had a watercolorist in there last month and they don't want
Yeah.
another one. So it's not your work, it's not you, or it's that they're just about to redecorate the space and they don't want any artwork. Or I mean, things like libraries, they often have art displays. So that's another way. It's just looking for those sort of little opportunities locally that will build your confidence. And then you decide where you want to go. Do you want to sell your work? Do you want to display it? Because then there are bigger opportunities. But if you start to go to art fairs, you have to rent a booth. It may be a long way away. Certainly in the UK, there are lots of different art fairs that you can go to, but they will cost a lot of money and a lot of time, and that might
Yeah.
not be what you want to do.
That is true.
You know,
You have
um,
to find balance
yes.
between what actually works in your local scene versus like what you actually want to do. Which actually brings me to the next question, which
Oh,
is
this is good.
Which is a perfect segue actually for the next part, which is about today's world where we're putting our art online. And a lot of the art, I don't want to get into the AI part of the conversation because that is so new and kind of like I don't have the enough knowledge to talk about it. But what I do realize is you how much of art you need to create to go for your account to be seen. How specific kind of content only goes viral, so it's like you have to do it, you have to consistently keep posting your art online for 6, 7, sometimes even years on end. And then randomly, you might get like a viral video. Chasing after something that will go viral, and you're sort of like forced to do artwork or create content that will make your account be seen, make you be seen more, versus what you actually want to be doing, which may not align with what actually feeds the algorithm properly. So, how do you balance that? And
Sim-
does that have an offline equivalent? Like, does this analogy have happen in like offline events for galleries, for example? I would assume that you might have to create artwork for a certain theme. How does that work?
Well, I mean, it does have two questions. So yes, I'll do the offline equivalent first because that's easier. It can be yeah, in the offline world, you go into a gallery. So for example, I have work in a gallery that's in a very nice small town by the River Thames. They get a lot of visitors and tourists through who are on the river, boating, whatever. Only want paintings of river type animals, otters, kingfishers,
Okay.
the sorts of animals that you will get in that setting because that's what they think will sell. And that's fine. You as an artist have a choice. Do I want to paint otters and kingfishers? Well, luckily, yes, I do. If I but not all the time. So, and I have the choice, and I just have to say, well, no, I'm not painting those at the moment. And the danger is, of course, they will find another artist who does, but that's fine because I think you just have to be true to yourself and what you want to do. It would be different if it was literally, oh my goodness, I've got to pay the rent this month, in which case, yes, potentially you would. I don't know, have to do what you think is most commercial. I know of very well-known artist who I obviously will not name,
Yes.
who, you know, when the next mortgage payment is due, he will knock out another lavender fields, you know, paintings, big paintings of lavender fields, very popular, or bluebell woods. And he
Okay.
will be like, oh my goodness, I need to sell a painting. I'll do one of those because he knows it'll sell. Hates doing them, but he has to do it because he has to live. You know, fine. So and it just again depends on whether your income totally depends on selling paintings or whether you're doing it as a hobby or whatever. So there's got to be a balance, but you've equally well got to feed your soul as a creative person. You totally have to. Well, I think you need to keep things fresh, you need to explore, you need curiosity, everything. It would be horrible if we were in one of those sort of, you know, we're in a factory that we just had to paint this thing over and over and over again. That's not why we paint. So, and I would say in the online world, it's just the same. Actually, who wants to go viral? I'm not sure I want to go viral. Why would I? I want to have
Visibility.
meaningful connection with people who resonate with my art. And if my art's seen by a million people, well, that's fine. But tomorrow, something else is, you know, the news and the exciting thing. It would be lovely. Well, no, it wouldn't be lovely to be famous, would it? I mean, it'd be quite horrible, I think, to be sort of internet famous or something because the moment you're up there, someone's trying to knock you down. So I think I would always go for meaningful content, something that matters to you. Because if it matters to you, the world is so big and there are so many people out there. There are going to be plenty of other people who that matters to. So just painting stuff. I mean, again, it's different maybe in a commercial sense. If you were trying to sell a product, obviously Viviva is trying to sell paint, so you do want lots of people to see and for it to be fashionable, I guess. But as an artist,
I think rather than fashionable, what I meant was like when you're a smaller account, it's very difficult to get that visibility for your account to start reaching in the tens of thousands of people. Even that is very difficult. So you have to consistently put your art and put your art in a way that the algorithm likes. If you're not creating content in a particular way, then you're sort of in a place where it's never being shown to people.
yeah, but equally well, if you're not authentic, then when it is
Exactly.
shown to people, they're not going to relate to it. Personally, would I would think it's really important if you've got a mission, um, if you want to reach people, is to understand who and to actually be really specific so that you're talking to one person. So you've almost got this like imaginary friend in your head, So for me, obviously I'm thinking it's going to be someone who's an animal lover. They're probably going to be they're going to be like me, but probably a bit nicer, a bit younger, a bit whatever. They're sort of like an ideal version of yourself, and you've got them in your head. And so you talk to them, to that one person, like your best friend. And if it comes, it comes. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But there's no point being seen by millions of people who aren't interested. So I think the idea of going viral, I had on YouTube, I did one video. So I do a YouTube every week, and I've done that since sort of COVID in the pandemic. And most of them are teaching videos. And I did one video right at
Mhm.
the end of the year that was about how much I'd earned on YouTube, which wasn't very much. But I just shared some of the background because people have this vision that, you must earn thousands of pounds on YouTube. And I was like, yeah, I wish. This is what you put in, this is what you get out. And that did go little viral.
Yeah.
It was seen by, I don't know, 200,000 people. And you're like, oh, but they weren't 200,000 people who were interested in my art. They were interested in money. They were interested in YouTube and,
Figuring
all
out
that business
how
side of
you
it. So what was the point of that sort of thing? And I would have said it's better just to understand what you want out of it, the sort of person you're talking to, and just be authentic. And far better to reach 100 interested people than 10,000 not interested people.
Yeah.
And the idea of going viral, seeing millions of people, that actually then puts a huge amount of pressure on you. And don't I don't paint to create pressure. I paint to express myself and to enjoy myself. And I don't need the pressure of sort of having to perform. Yeah. Just don't worry about the algorithm. Let the algorithm sort itself out. Because the
Yes.
moment you think you've got it sorted, they'll change it anyway. So just do what you love.
Yeah,
You
that is
know,
that I definitely do. The second you know that, the second you have think that you have everything figured out, they just switch it up.
for sure. It's podcasts today, and tomorrow it is something else. I don't know. It used to always be blog posts. Oh, you must do your blog posts and everyone will start to follow you. Now it's a podcast. It used to be this, or it's a shorts and reels and TikToks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
It used to be just post on Instagram once a week, and then your art will like your profile will get thousands and thousands of views. And now you have to do like 5 posts a week, and they have to be in a certain, like a few of them have to be reels. You have to do stories. You have to do. It's a lot. You have to do a lot.
But you don't have to. That's
I
the
mean,
thing.
if you're looking for that, if you're looking for that global stage, if you want to be like, I want to have 1 million followers by the end of 2026, those types of, if you have that desire, then yes. But I think you're right in saying that, smaller but a more specific audience to what you do is much, much better, much more rewarding.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just that thing of what do you want? I mean, and yes, some people want to be TikTok famous. Well, that's lovely. And that's entirely different from the people I imagine who are watching us or listening to this conversation. I They want to love their art. They want to enjoy their art. They want to share that joy with other people.
Yeah.
So just do what feels right to you. Be authentic.
Right.
Consistency is good, of course, but not if it's making you feel bad in the process. If you are wanting to sell your art, again, that is something different. If your art is your business, which it is for me, it's going to be different. But I actually, I really enjoy making tutorials for YouTube. So I do it. If I stopped enjoying it, then I would stop doing it. And I think you have to follow what gives you joy,
What works?
not what people tell you you should do. And you find your own way through it.
Right. And also, like, if something you are looking to make money and you find a way to do it, then just do it for as long as you need to make money, and then pivot to whatever works for you, whatever you like doing after your needs are satisfied, after your wants are satisfied, at least.
Yeah, I mean, again, I do understand that because my art income supports my family. And so it is important. So I just think it's
You don't think it's necessary to change the way, or like like you said about your friend, that one painting that he does, and then he does whatever he wants to do after that. So he does one thing for commercial purposes, because he knows that will work out for him. And then for the rest of the month, the rest of the year, he's doing what he loves to do. So if you think that if somebody is listening to this and they really need to make money out there, that's what they're looking for, then do what makes money for like the initial few phases of life. And then slowly start incorporating art that you actually enjoy, that might not be super commercial, but you can sort of find a balance there also. Like, you can slowly start changing things up. You don't agree with that?
I just think that if you're not authentic with what you're doing, it will show through your art because the energy you bring to it. So I think it's really important if you do want to make your living as an artist, that you treat it seriously as a business. That's something different. But even throughout that, you still need to be authentic because people online and offline are looking for authenticity.
Correct.
And I think just knocking stuff out because you can. I can paint certain things in my sleep, but
You don't
it
want to.
the energy of it will be like that. You have to people buy art because it makes them feel something. They're buying the emotion, and that is important. Or they look at art, forget about buying, forget about money. People look at art because it connects to an emotion or it makes them feel something. So I think being genuine is really important, whether you're in the real world or whether you're online. And just chasing the algorithm strikes me as a way to take the joy out of it.
I see what you mean. It's even if it is something that commercially becomes viable, but then if you're not able to show up in the way that you want to, then it's not going to be good artwork in any case. So it
Yeah.
might not be it might not lead to the result that we're looking for in the first place. You're right. All right. I think that concludes all of the questions that I had. And I think we've covered the topic quite exhaustively, but I have some, I don't know if that was the right word, by the way.
No, no, no. I don't know whether we've covered it properly, but those are just kind of my thoughts on it.
I
But
think
yeah,
the next stages, if we want, we can always do a deeper dive. I would love to hear more about, like, how you change things up for your gallery artwork versus your personal art. What is your personal side? But we can always pick this conversation up another time. And I think this is a good starting point for people who are looking to wanting to get that confidence back, confidence in posting their art online or offline. So I think that's a good conversation. Now for the fun part, I have some few. I have 3 to 4 rapid fire questions just for getting to know you, and then also
Okay.
like just to see if we can wrap this up on a fun note. Okay. So one of the very first questions that and I ask this for every guest who show up is, what is your favorite Viviva colors? Like a color shade. Is there a particular shade that?
Yeah. So my favourite current for Viva Colour is the neon pink in your summer collection because it is so vivid. It's just gorgeous. Yes. So
Yeah,
that would be my favourite.
that
But from
was.
sorry.
Sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to say, but from before, bizarrely, the one I really like is your slate black.
Okay.
Because I never use black in my watercolors. I always mix my own black. But when I'm out and about, it's such a beautiful bluey black. I find I use it all the time. So it was the slate black as a really unusual color that I wouldn't use in any other setting. But now it's neon pink because it's just so bright.
Did you use it in any of your recent paintings that maybe I can show to our audience in the second?
I was prepared. Look, I just did a little sketch of neon pink. It was all your neon colours, and it was just they're just so pretty. There you
It's so beautiful.
go.
That's
Just
beautiful.
so yeah, shocking pink, lovely.
Actually, florals were the inspiration behind picking those colors. So, especially the neon pink, we wanted to see like hibiscus and bright florals
Yeah,
in that shade. So, I think the team knocked it out of the park with that particular color. And also, my personal favorite would be the bright lilac from that palette. We loved it as an entire team.
good.
The next one is, what is your go-to art supply? What is like one thing that you would take everywhere that you go and you cannot forget it for any reason?
Oh, water. There you go. I love. I just love watching paint travel through water or ink travel through water. And I think most watercolorists don't use enough water and just let it flow. So there you go. For me, water.
Okay. So are you a morning painter or a night owl?
Ooh, I tend to get distracted very easily. So I tend to start the morning full of energy. Oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I think I'll just do all the admin bits first. So it's usually I end up afternoon painter.
Oh, okay. So that's neither.
Neither, yeah, sorry. And I would love to paint. I mean, I used to always paint at night, but that was because when the kids were younger, I was really busy with them during the day. But now I'm more an afternoon painter and I do all the boring admin bits in the morning.
Right. Okay. The last one is music or podcasts when you're painting. What goes on in the background?
Usually nothing, silence.
You're not target. Okay.
Yeah, usually I quite I mean occasionally I'll just have the radio on just as noise. I don't ever listen to music when I'm painting.
Okay. Okay. I like having instrumental music. That's the time when I listen to all of the instrumentals, just like
No.
because I need to focus. Otherwise, like my brain starts thinking and I jump to other tasks, chores around the house. So music helps me feel in the moment.
Yeah, I know, I get that. I just there's something in my brain that just doesn't music doesn't help. Sometimes I quite like just to have like a podcast type or just the radio news program or whatever. But quite often I just like it to be quiet. It's a refuge and I sit with my thoughts and talk to myself really.
Okay. I think I said that was the last question, but I actually have one more because in our conversation, one, I really wanted to ask you one thing. But what was the very first painting that you sold? Like, what was the subject?
Oh, I remember this. It was an owl. There you go. So it was an owl. It was an eagle owl with, nice fluffy ears. And it was on a really dark background, you see, and I can remember that. And it was, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever. I remember that picture because it was so significant to me. I was so excited. And Yeah, and we took the family out for a meal on the proceeds. It was a cheap meal. It wasn't a lot of money, but we all went out and celebrated. It
It's
was really
fine.
significant.
Yeah, your first sale as an artist, that's a huge milestone. You need to be celebrating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And whether you sell it for, £20 or 20,000, God, I wish. But, it's just that an independent person wants to live with your work every day. What a
Yeah,
compliment. It's lovely.
that's a wonderful way to see it. I think I've never thought about it that way. It's a wonderful perspective on selling your artwork. Thank you so much, Liz. This was a lovely, lovely conversation. I enjoyed every single minute of the 45 minutes that we've been chatting.
Wow.
Yeah, this has been incredible. Enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I feel like you've also convinced me on a few different opinions that I might have had. But I see your perspective, and I think I'm now more excited to put my artwork out there. I've been sharing it with my friends a lot, but personally, I want to like put it out there now.
Good. No, thank you ever so much for chatting. I can't believe it was 45 minutes. Yeah, that was brilliant. So really appreciate you asking me to be here.
So much. All
Okay.
right.